This is Mrs. Costello. I'm doing day 10. Day 10 is one big factoring party, and I got this Billy Mays, up here because that's kind of how what we're doing today. We're like, hey, we got all this factoring, we got all these things, but wait, there's more, and I'm gonna do the more part today. So get ready. There's gonna be a lot of factoring, but you guys are ready because we're pros now. So here we go. So at the very, very beginning of day 10, there is this really, really sweet little checklist. And I might be going back and forth to this throughout our video just to kind of go, okay, what am I supposed to do? This helps me get started, okay? So every single time, the very, very first thing that we do, top of the thing, is check for GCF. Can I take anything out of these guys? That is the first thing we're going to do, always. Okay, after we check, can I make this any smaller? We've got options for 2 terms, for 3 terms, and for 4 terms. Okay, so if we have 2 terms, we check for difference of squares. Now, if there's no difference of squares, we just leave it alone. So if there's a yes, we factor. And if it's a no, we leave it. Not bad. Okay. Then we have our trinomial factoring. So when our leading coefficient is 1, those are the ones we like because that is our shortcutting, right? We can just go straight to parentheses. If our leading coefficient is not 1, we have to plug in. And I know we don't hate them, but they're not as fun as the other ones for sure. And then if we have 4 terms, we're going to factor by grouping. So we're going to put them in pairs, groups of 2, and then see what they have in common. Now, some of these are just factoring, and then the last part is going to be solving. When we solve, we always set our polynomials equal to 0. We got to follow our steps, which is right here, in our checklist. This is always available to us. And then we use the zero product property to solve. That's the correct term. I call it finding the zeros. My class knows I don't really use the fancy words. So if you don't want to use the fancy words either, it's cool. No worries. All right. So let's see what these look like. Let's go ahead and go to number 1. And we are going to completely factor our polynomials. So remember, on our table, our very first thing was check if they have anything in common. Well, look at all these guys. These guys all have R's, right? R3, R2, R1. And then, man, I really don't want to set up my X and do 3 times 30 and then add to make 21. I don't feel like doing that, and I know you don't either. So look, there's a 3 right here. I think all of those could totally be divided by 3. So I am going to divide by 3, and I'm going to take out 1R because that's what they have in common. So when I do that, I am left with R squared minus 7R plus 10, right? All I did was divide by 3 and take away an R from everybody. Now let's look inside our parentheses. Inside, look at that, we got an easy trinomial. Oh, life is good. So we're just going to look inside when we set up our big X. So set up our big X. Our first times our last, 1 times 10 is 10. And our middle is negative 7. So I need 2 things that multiply to make 10 and add to make 7. Or negative 7. So I know they're both going to be negative. Let's try 5 times 2. Negative 5 times negative 2 makes positive 10. Yes. Negative 5 plus negative 2 makes negative 7. Yes. Awesome. I got my factors. Now remember, this is an easy trinomial because there's just a 1 in front of that R squared. So I can go ahead and go straight to parentheses. Each parenthesis gets an R. Each one gets a factor. So minus 5, minus 2, and that 3R is going to come down also. Okay. So really the only new part was our 3r coming out in the very, very, very beginning. Okay, number 2. Remember, my very first thing is, can I take anything out? Do they have anything in common? So if I look at 12y to the 4th minus 75y squared, 12 and 75, I think they can both be divided by 3, so I'm definitely going to take out a 3. And look, they both have y's, so let's take out this y squared because that's my smallest y. That's the most amount of y's I can take out. Now let's see what's left. Inside, 12 divided by 3 is 4, and I took out 2y's, so I have 2y's left. 75 divided by 3 is negative 25, and I took out all the y's. Okay. Now remember, we're just looking inside right now. So inside, I have 4y squared minus 25. We got two things. We have to check for difference of squares. 4y squared, I know that's a perfect square. That's 2y times 2y. And negative 25, that's negative 5 times 5. Well, that looks like difference of squares to me. So it looks like I can factor again on the inside. So 2y, and minus 5, and a plus 5. And don't forget your 3y squared also has to come down. And that's your whole answer on number 2. Okay, not bad, hopefully. Okay. Let's look at number 3. Okay, number 3, same thing. One thing I do want to point out on number 3 is, look, we do start with a negative. I don't like that. Okay, anytime you start with a negative, let's take out a negative. Okay, I don't do it. I'm sure your teachers don't do it either. Negative, definitely coming out. And then 12 and 18, okay? Those guys can both be divided by 6, so I'm definitely going to take out a 6. And then they both have a's. This one is a cubed, this one is a squared. So I'm going to take out a squared because that's the most I can take out. Now let's write what's left. Negative 12 divided by negative 6 is positive 2. I took out 2 a's and there's 1 a left. And then negative 18 divided by negative 6, that's going to be positive 3. And I took out all the a's. Now inside, right, this 2a plus 3, check for difference of squares. Well, there's not even a squared in there, so I know I am definitely done on number 3. That's going to be my answer. Sometimes all you have to do is take out one thing and then you're done. Not bad. Okay, number 4. 4 has 1, 2, 3, 4 things. And sometimes when we have 4 things, we don't have anything in common, right? There's a y, there's a y, there's a y. 28 doesn't have a y. And we can't really divide by the same number. So what we're going to do is we are going to group them up, right? We're going to split them up. And we're going to factor this way. We're going to see what they have in common just in 2's. So y cubed plus 7y squared, well, I can definitely take out a y squared. And I'm left with y plus 7. Okay. Now my goal is to get matching, so hopefully I can. So negative 4y minus 28, well, I can definitely take out a negative because I don't like them, right, in the front, no. So take out a negative and a 4. So then I'm left with y plus 7 again. Okay. The matching goes in one parenthesis, so y plus 7. And then in my other parenthesis, I'm going to have y squared minus 4. Now, little red flag on my end because the y squared and the minus 4. Y squared is y times y, and then the negative 4 is negative 2 times 2. Yikes. Okay, so I have difference of squares. So this is a spicy problem. You have 3 parentheses. You have y plus 7, and you have to factor out your difference of squares. So you have y minus 2 and y plus 2. Oh my gosh. See, we're pros. We can totally handle it by now. These are some hard problems, so if you're still having a hard time with it, it's okay. Number 5. Number 5 looks a lot harder than, it looks hard, but honestly, like, don't overthink it. And I might teach this a little differently than some of your teachers, so just kind of check with them. Because there's an x to the 4th, you see how like your middle term is an x squared? That means that's what's going to go in my parentheses. Because yes, this is a shortcut one, but if you're not sure about it, we can always do it the long way. So set up our x. My special is my first times my last, so 1 times negative 90 is negative 90. And then on the bottom, I have negative 1. Okay. So I need 2 things that multiply to make negative 90 and add to make negative 1. Well, I know that 10 and 9 makes 90, but if I want the negative 1 to be negative, I need the 10 to be negative. So, could I shortcut this? Yes. But is it hard? Also, yes. So let's just bring down our first x to the 4th, and then let's break down this guy, right? Negative 10x squared plus 9x squared, and then minus 90. Okay. So hopefully that made it a little bit better, because now we can split it and then we can write what they have in common. So we can take out an x squared on my first one, and I'm left with x squared minus 10, okay? And then I can also take out a 9, and I'm on this side, and I'm left with x squared minus 10 again. My matching goes in 1, so x squared minus 10 and x squared plus 9. Now, I know that there's x squareds, but there's no difference of squares, right? This guy's got a plus, so we can't do difference of squares. I know, I'm sorry. It's all good, though. All right, guys, you are super pros. Let's do A on your own. So go ahead and pause your video now and do problem A on your own. Here's my work on A. This one was short and sweet, right? We always check if they have anything in common, and 30 and 50 could definitely be divided by 10, so I took out a 10. And then there's 4y's versus 3y's, and obviously I'm going to take out 3y's. So I took out 3y's and I divided by 10. And then inside with those 2 terms, I couldn't do anything else. So like that was it on that one. All right. B. I'm going to start B for you, but then you're going to finish B. So on B, I don't like this negative. I know you don't either. And all of these guys have x's, so we're going to take out a negative 2, and we're going to take out an x. So everything is going to get divided by 2, and everything is going to lose an x. So negative 2 divided by 2 is 1. When you lose an x, you just have x squared. 6 divided by negative 2 is negative 3x. And then 108, oh my gosh, divided by 2, that's going to be negative 54. All right, guys, look inside right here. You got to factor that. I believe in you, so you're going to do this one. You're going to finish this one on your own. Go ahead and pause your video now. Here's my work on B. So we should have made our big X and found our factors that multiplied to make negative 54 and added to make negative 3. Hopefully you got negative 9 and 6. Lucky for us, it was an easy trinomial, so we got to just go straight to parentheses. Woohoo! All right. Okay. All right, guys. No, C, you can definitely do C. There are 3 things. They have absolutely nothing in common, so we are going straight to the X, and let's see how you do on those hard trinomials. So go ahead and pause your video and do C on your own. Here's all my work on C. I made my X a little big. I realized that. I'm sorry. I'll do better next time. So I got 6 and negative 2 for my answers, for my factors, and then I had to plug back into the middle to factor by grouping, and then you should have gotten x plus 2 times 3x minus 2, or if they're in a different order, that is totally okay as well. All right, we got one more just straight factoring. Guess what? I think you can do this one on your own. It is hard. So get as far as you can on your own, and then I will walk you through the rest of it. So go ahead and pause your video now and finish D. Okay, this is as far as I'm guessing some of you guys went, right? You went, oh, they can both be divided by 10a. Awesome. But you have to be very careful for the tricky difference of squares that is stuck on the inside, right? A squared is a times a. And 1 is a tricky one. -1 times 1 definitely makes -1. So you do have difference of squares on this. So you have to write 10a times a minus 1 times a plus 1. And that's going to be my answer on D. I know that's a hard one. Definitely some extra credit action right there maybe. I don't know. But tough one for sure. Okay. All right, guys, we are down to the last part. We have to solve these guys. So we have done all the factoring. So we're still factoring, but now we have to find the zeros. So remember your very first thing, can I take anything out of all of these? I have 4x squared, -28, and 48. Those are some fat numbers if I just put them in the x. So I'm definitely going to take out a 4 because I think they can all be divided by 4. So the 4 is going to come out, and then I have x squared minus 7x plus 12 equals 0. And I'm happy because now I just made myself an easy trinomial on the inside, and we love that. So we set up our x. My special is 1 times 12, which is 12, and my middle is -7. And it's an easy trinomial. So I need two things that multiply to make 12 and add to make -7. That's going to be -4 and -3. -4 times -3 is positive 12. Yes. -4 plus 3 is -7. Yes. So easy trinomial, which means I get to go straight to parentheses. So I'm going to write the 4, and then I'm going to write x minus 4 times x minus 3 equals 0. Now, wherever there's an x, there's a 0. So look, there's an x here and an x here. So your 4 is important for your factoring, but for finding the zeros, you don't need the 4. So we would do x minus 4 equals 0. So if I wanted to find the 0, I know I would add 4 on each side. So I would get x equals 4 for my 0. Same thing on the other side. It already kind of looks equal to 0. So I would do plus 3, so x equals 3. So those are my two zeros on number 6. Okay, this is the last one I'm going to do with you, and then I think you guys will be fine on E. So this one is missing a 0. Now, if you're in my class, we call this making our own 0. We never, ever, ever move this guy in my world. Sorry, we don't. We only move the thing with like the smallest amount of b's. So I'm going to move the 12b over. So I'm going to do minus 12b, minus 12b. This says 3b cubed minus 12b equals 0. I made my own 0. Sweet. Okay, first things first, let's see if we can take anything out here. So 3b cubed and 12b. Well, I can definitely take out a 3 and a b. So I'm left with b squared minus 12 divided by 3 is 4 equals 0. One more time, guess what we got inside? We got those difference of squares, right? B squared is b times b. -4 is -2 times 2. Okay, so I'm going to write 3b on the outside, and then I have two parentheses for my difference of squares, b minus 2 and b plus 2 equals 0. Now remember, wherever there's a b, there's a 0. So 1, 2, 3 zeros. So I need to split up all of those zeros. I like to separate them in my class. So there's all the zeros, right? So I'm going to find 3b. Well, anytime there's a number and a letter next to each other, I know it's going to be equal to 0. But if you need to set it equal to 0, you totally can. If I plug in a positive 2 for this b, that's going to get me a 0. 2 minus 2 is 0. And if I plug in a negative 2 for this b, I'm definitely going to get a 0. So look at all those zeros. 0, 2, and negative 2. Oh my gosh. We totally needed rainbow pen on that one, for sure. Okay. All right, guys, I think you can do E on your own. So go ahead and pause your video and do letter E. All right, guys, there's my work on E. I gave you an easy one. All you had to take out was 5A, and then you were good to go. So that was not that bad. And then remember, anywhere there's an A, there is a 0. So A equals 0 and A equals 5. All right, that's all I have for you today. So you guys should be good to go. We are at the end of our unit. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day.